It's Matt Mitty.
I've been running from my problems so long, so ashamed of the situation, doing it so low. I was feeling so numb, I was so far gone. The Lord stepped in and now my old season is done. I need to exhale.
I just need to exhale. I just need to exhale.
Yo, welcome to the Lit Podcast, where we motivate, inspire, help you when you're feeling low, and also help you to know God. We're on episode number 2 of Transparent Tuesday. Yo, it is about to get very deep because I'm starting a series called No Longer a Victim for those who have been dealing with situations, or they've played the victim role, or even, been that victim for many years. This right here will help. And since this is Transparent Tuesday, I myself will be giving my personal testimonies and how I was a victim, but also having that victim mentality for the last 5 to 6 years over a situation that I went through. So let's go ahead and get started. It's time to get down to the nitty gritty. You can only be a victim for so long until ? See, you got to think about that. You got to tell yourself, hey, what have I really been dealing with this long? I've been being this victim. I've been thinking about this situation for a long time. You can only be a victim for so long until you have to fill in that blank. You have to say, you know what? Okay, what do I need to do? Or God, I need some wisdom. I need some favor, and I need some guidance in this area on what that until after needs to be. And the one thing that a lot of people fall for when it comes to either being victimized or even getting trapped into something is something called clickbait. Man, I'm telling you, clickbait is the worst, especially for instance, I can be on YouTube and I see a video. It would say along the lines of, this car right here is 1,000 horsepower. I'm just gonna give an example. So it's 1,000 horsepower, and it outruns a 2,000 horsepower. I ain't gonna say 2,000, 15,000 horsepower top fuel car. Now, in this day and age, everything is AI generated. It's like you really can't believe too much that you see on her. So it will say that this car right here is 1,000 horsepower, outruns this 15,000 horsepower top fuel car. If you do not pay attention, it will look so realistic. It will look like two cars are drag racing, but it's probably a scene from Grand Theft Auto 5 or something like that. Or it will be like, Track Hawk is flying through the streets and all this other stuff, but it looks so realistic. And you just click on it, you be like, wait a second, is this car really gonna beat a top fuel car that's 15,000 horsepower going down there? Then you click on it and you engage, and then you give it watch time. And a lot of times in life, when we click on stuff and we don't fact check it, or we don't take the time, in this case, to get to know the person, or to get to know the job, or get to know the family member, if we do not take the time to fact check any of this stuff, we will find ourselves getting drawn in, and we're locked in. We're constantly looking at all kinds of videos. Then if everybody like to go straight to the comments, like, wait a second, I sat there and watched this whole video thinking that it was going to be a 1,000 horsepower vehicle that's going to beat this, and it was nothing but a simulation from GTA, or it was AI generated, but they make it look so real. So do not fall for the clickbait. A lot of times in our lives, if we're not careful, we can play the victim role and we can be the clickbait. Oh yeah, it's time to get deep. We can end up being the clickbait. And my testimony is like, man, I had this mask on for so many years, that I looked like, man, this person right here is the greatest person ever. And I was so hurt and broken inside. I never really just shown my true self. Because like I said in the last video, I'm funny. I like to, watch comedy. Shoot, I like R&B too. I like listening to jazz. I like listening to some hip hop. Now, not a lot of that ratchet stuff, but I still listen to it in all the time. And I'm still a fun and loving person, but there are times I would look all serious and all focused and stuff like that, but I love to laugh. And so, like on the last message, I talked about putting on the mask to where I was disguised. And I kind of thought about like, man, when I was, reflecting on this message, I was like, you know what? I was the clickbait type person. It's like, surprise, I'm not super serious. I'm actually a very funny person. And it's like, wow. But a lot of times we try to hide ourselves because we want to be in that safety net. We don't want the person to see who we truly are, because we might think that, that person might not like me, that person might not be too fun, that, just because you have a goofy laugh or you have a goofy personality, you be you. You be your 100% authentic self. You be you. Don't fall for that clickbait, and don't you be the clickbait as well. Man, if somebody don't like you just because you have a crazy laugh, if somebody don't like you just because you look a certain way, man, forget them. Just go ahead and keep on moving on, because the person that God has for you is going to accept you for who you are. And see, that's the thing. Don't fall for the clickbait. A lot of times that with the clickbait, when it comes to something that we're not supposed to be watching, the enemy knows what you like. The enemy knows what you like. And I spoke about this on a sermon one time. What was it? It was my unsubscribe message. And so in the unsubscribe message, I spoke about how that every time you click on something, it holds a record. So if I go on YouTube right now and click on gardening, I'm going to see nothing but videos of gardening. And the videos are just going to keep on popping up. And it's all going to be gardening. And so if you are searching for something that's not of God, even in life, we talking about beyond the internet. If you're searching for something that's not of God, guess what? The enemy gonna keep on popping those things right up in your face. You're wondering why you keep on attracting the same person each and every single time. You gotta go back to your search history. It's like, what was I searching for? What was I searching for? Was I horny during this time and I started searching for a person that could fulfill my sexual needs? Or was I just about needing somebody for money, whether if it's male or female? Was I searching for that person? Go back to your search history and don't fall for the clickbait. Moving on. Playing the victim role can be a form of manipulation. And man, when God he slapped me, he's like, man, the way you're talking about the situation, it's been about, 5 to 6 years now. I'm still talking about it, and I'm still coming from a place of hurt. And instead of me coming from a place of, man, I've been through a lot, but I'm still here. I've overcome all of these obstacles. I've overcome the situation that happened with the deaths and the situation with the surgeries and the constant issues going on my body. Instead of me praising God for that, I'm talking about it from a hurt point. Like, man, I'm really going through, man. man, I'm just getting hit, but man, praise God and stuff like that. I'm coming from a victim perspective and not a victor. That God has me still here for a reason. Because most people, if they went through what I've went through, and I've known people that have gone through worse, they've told me, hey, man, I would have lost my mind during those times. And I had to think about it, man. I asked God, I was like, how was I manipulated? Because unknowingly, I'm talking about the situation, but I'm getting on, oh, poor baby, man, I'm going to pray for you and stuff like that, man. You can only do that to certain people because strong people that have discernment are going to be like, say, man, yeah, you went through a lot, but I'm going to need you to get out of that situation because it's already been a few years. So why are you still talking about it? That you're looking for an audience. It's called the pity committee. There's another word for it, and I'm not going to say it. I know I said this was uncut, but I'm not going to say that word. But it's something called a pity committee. And so you get a lot of people around into your pity party, and they all saying, okay, we're sharing stories and stuff like that. No one's getting saved. No one's getting delivered. No one's overcoming. And I found myself being that way. And I'm just being honest. I found myself being manipulative when it comes to telling the story. Instead of telling the story as a testimony, I'm coming from a victim mentality. And guess what? I am over that now. But looking back, man, I didn't realize I was being manipulative, and manipulating is a form of witchcraft. You think that witchcraft is casting spells and stuff like that. If you're causing a person to act a different way or manipulating somebody, that is a form of witchcraft, which is a Jezebel spirit. See, there's a difference between the testimony versus getting someone to feel sorry for you. There's a difference between your testimony, you telling your testimony on how God brought you out of this and how God saved you. He could have let you fall. He could have let you die in that car accident. He could have let you die on that operating table. He could have let you die in your sin, but he brought you out of it. But you're saying, oh, I'm gonna just keep on talking about the story so everybody can give me a pat on my back and I can, you're a grown person and you want to have a binky in your mouth or a pacifier in your mouth. You want somebody to baby you. You got to get out of that victim mentality, and that's what I had to tell myself. I got to get out of this being a victim and start being a victor. And see, the one thing that I had to really just think about this, like last year, as I was like pondering and reflecting on it, I was like, you know what? A lot of stuff that I had to get rid of it. But also, I had to get rid of that unforgiveness that was in my heart. Because it would be times where the situation would be brought up, or I would think about it, and I would get angry or frustrated and stuff like that. And see, the enemy knows what to do in that situation. He knows what, target words to hit at you to make you snap, to make you angry, to get your demeanor to change. Like it got so bad for me where I will leave church, I'll get through praising God or doing something online or even preaching myself, and I will see a situation of cheating, or I would see a situation of surgeries, and all of a sudden my mind would just go into a whole nother state. And that's just like, man, why am I thinking about this? Because the enemy knows. Because during that time, I was searching and searching and searching. I had too much stuff on that search bar. You got to clear your history. You got to clear your history. You got to clear your history. I'm going to say it one more time. You got to clear the history out of your mind. And you have to have forgiveness in your heart. Every time I think about forgiveness in the heart, I think about the, dude Omarion. Anybody knows the situation he went through with his ex. And so when you think about it, they pretty much they gave him the title, Mr. Unbothered. He said this himself. In the interview, when the interviewer was addressing the situation, he was just like, oh, okay, hey, it's good for them. I was like, I had to watch the interview like 2 or 3 times. Like, this dude is really unbothered because it might hurt. Yeah, it hurt. That's your friend, man. But guess what? It did not overtake him. See, that's the thing when situations hit you, but it don't overtake you. You might think about the situation, but it does not change your demeanor. So that's when you have true forgiveness in your heart. It's like, yo, I forgive them. Hey, it is what it is. That's nothing I can do about that situation. And that means that he could have easily went down the victim into, oh, blah, 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 this and blah, blah, blah. He said, you know what, I'm taking the high road. I'm not worried about that. I'm Mr. Unbothered. And that's what we have to be in life. If we get disappointed by not getting a job, if we get disappointed by not getting a certain opportunity, if we get disappointed or heartbroken by someone that we really, really, really like, guess what? We have to be unbothered and do our best to move on because the enemy wants you to stay trapped. And when he gets you to stay in that situation where you're just trapped in this cocoon and you're not flying and you're not becoming a butterfly and you forever just staying a caterpillar, guess what? You're going to end up dying. Because when you think about a caterpillar, if it does not get out of its cocoon in a certain amount of time, the caterpillar will die and it will not flourish into a butterfly. So even though it's been a long time, it still stings. Yeah, the situation sting. It hit me because it's actually coming around that time, going on 6. Yeah, it stings. But the thing is, I'm not allowing that to overtake me. And that takes growth. When you grow up, when you say, hey, there's nothing I can do. All I'm doing is having a pity party with me, myself, and I, whoever want to listen. One thing that, at work, a lot of people will say stuff like this. It's like this one older dude at work. He would be like, hey, I'll be like, hey, how's it going? It's like, man, I'm just doing good, but, man, even if I complain, nobody will listen and stuff like that. I was like, and he's like, man, nobody will listen. And even then, we got to get out of that mentality like, man, even if we complain and nobody listen, hey, who cares? There's nothing we can complain about the job. We can complain about everything that's not going right in our lives. We got to get out of that, that pity committee and having that pity party and go ahead and give it over to God and stop retracting that thing back like a fishing rod. And so what hurts is the words and empty promises. We got to get to a point where we stop making these vows to God and not holding up to our end. Oh, man. See, that's why a lot of times that God allows us to stay in that sense. He's like, hey, I try to reach out to you, but you want to continue being in this victim mentality. So you know what? I'm gonna just let you be there for a little bit. I'm gonna just let you sit in your safety net. You sit there, you eat all your ice cream, you get fat and all this other. You stop caring about yourself. I'm gonna just let you sit because I've tried to talk to you so many times, but you will rather be comfortable. And see, that's the thing. When you're in a victim mentality and everything is woe is me, you're comfortable. And you cannot get comfortable having a victim mentality. You cannot get comfortable. It's not comfortable for me too. I hated being in that situation, man. That's why I'm able to tell the testimony now. Man, I hated, waking up and it's constantly being on my mind. I mean, it used to get to a point where I was like, why am I thinking about this? Because I hated it, because God is like, I need you to elevate. I cannot have you going around spreading my word, doing the works that I have, and you still playing the victim role. I need you to come out of this. So he had to make it to where I was so uncomfortable to where I hated thinking about those thoughts. I hated having those dreams. I hate having those negative thoughts coming up on me because, I was making all those empty promises. Let me go right back to that because I started to get off subject once again. So we made all these vows to God. Say, Lord, if you do this for me, I'm going to do this for you. Lord, I promise that if you go ahead and get me through this situation, I'll serve you and I'll do all this. As soon as he gets you through that situation, you go right back. See, God is not a genie. I'm saying the Most High is not a genie that you rub on the lamp 3 to 4 times and he goes out there and grants you wishes. That's not how it works. He is the ruler of the entire universe. And he cares for you. I'm going to just let that ponder. He is the ruler of the universe and he cares for you. So stop making those empty promises. If you're going to make a promise to God, you have to go with it. And sometimes God might allow you to go. He said, oh, you made a promise, all right. He will make it to where you go end up fulfilling that promise. So be careful. Now, here's the good part. I mean, now, you know, if them other, you know, things I've said wasn't already some hooks and some jabs, now it's time for the uppercut. This one thing right here, man, changed my entire mindset. When I was in counseling with Jerry Ruffin, he told me this one thing. What was your contribution? I said, oh. What was your contribution to the situation? That is accountability. You know, we want to keep everybody else accountable, but we have to keep ourselves accountable. What was your contribution to the situation? You know, a lot of times we don't want to hear that. We want to be able to let off all of our garbage on someone else or on social media and things of that sort. We want to be able to let it all out. But what was my contribution? And I had to reflect on that. And I couldn't even answer that question. I couldn't even answer it right out. I had to literally sit. He said, take your time and think about it and then write it down. And I was thinking like, man, blah, 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 listen, blah, 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 no. And he was like, no, what did you do and what did you not do? And I had to think about it. You know what? I am a little hard-headed. I'm admitted that I am a little hard-headed at times. Sometimes, you know, didn't listen. Sometimes it's like, you know, I think I know it all. And that, you know, I'm trying to be Mr. Problem Solver and want to speak so much, but fail to listen. And so I had to think about all of that stuff and what happened during that relationship. And I was like, you know what? That's what happened. And that's what I need to work on. And that's what I'm currently working on too. Because the thing is, we never stop learning. And here's another thing. Never stop being teachable. Never stop working on yourself. And take accountability for your actions, just as well as the other person's actions, no matter who it is, whether if it was a spouse, significant other, a boss, a family member, or whatever situation it is. Take responsibility and accountability. And think about, what was my contribution? You know, a lot of times years ago, I procrastinated, and that's probably why, you know, I'm Mr. Gotta get it done. Now, I'm learning now that I got to do this stuff in increments, because if it was up to me, I would sit there and record videos each and every single day and just be having them dropping. But I got to take time out to relax. And that's another thing. Even if anybody that knows me personally, I'm always on the go. And so I have to take time to relax. I have to take accountability for myself. That maybe I just need to just chill for a little bit. Maybe I don't need to overdo it. And a lot of times in life, you will sit there, you will overdo it. And I'm talking about myself right now. I'll sit there and overdo it, and then I play victim if something hurts or if I'm tired and stuff like that. And I'm getting everybody to say, oh, poor baby, just go ahead, take your Benadryl or something and go to sleep, man. I should have just said, you know what, I need to just chill. It doesn't need to get done right now. So I'm going to leave you with this. Total healing is not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over time. Total healing is not going to happen overnight. is going to happen over time. But you have to make that decision. You have to make that first step in order for you to get healed. When I think about the woman with the issue of blood in the Bible, it took her making a conscious decision. She done all that she can. She said she saw the Messiah walking, and everybody been touching him and stuff like that. See, they was just touching him to see if they could get the power from him. But she touched, and she believed that she touched. She said, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I will be made whole. She believed and had faith in her heart. She said, you know what? I'm tired of dealing with this. I am tired of dealing with this. You gotta get tired of being a victim. You gotta get tired of playing victim. You gotta be able to move forward. And I'm not saying that, not discrediting the people that have went through physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, and stuff like that. Not discrediting them, because, the stuff that, even words and verbal abuse, that stuff can be, horrific. Sexual abuse can be horrific. Physical abuse can be horrific. I'm not downing that at all. I'm saying that you have to be able to get past it. And I know that part is not easy. That part is not easy, because that person might have been a family member, that person might have been a close friend or whatever. It's not easy. But do not allow the enemy to keep you trapped in that state. You have to be able to get past it, because you are no longer a victim. You are a victor. So now you can only be a victim for so long until you know your worth. Yo, this is D. Sealman, the Lit Podcast. Yo, if you like this shirt right here, be strong, be brave, be fearless, you can go ahead and cop that at dsealman.com. And also, if you want to catch out the audio version of this podcast, it is on Spotify Podcast, The Lit Podcast, the L.I.T podcast. And there you seeing the visuals on YouTube. And if you want to also follow me on TikTok, it's under D. Sealman. God bless. This is the Lit Podcast.